Hi, I am your host, Karen Miranda. Welcome to Whispers from the Other Side. We are coming to you live. Our loved ones are gone but not forgotten, and just a thought away. And I'd like to welcome tonight my friend Frank Hogan.
Evening, folks.
Frank
Hi, Karen.
Hogan for coming
Looking
on
wonderful
the show
young
tonight.
lady.
How are you doing
I
tonight?
am absolutely fine. It's a pity about the weather.
Oh, the weather, I know. I said it could be worse, though. It could be snowing, as you all know, at home. So I'm like, thanking God that at least it's not snowing. We don't have to do all that shoveling, you know what I'm saying, with all the snow piling up. But I wanted to get started to also, I have a little validation about the sea captain up at Snug Harbor. He was validated. And also, there's a little story that I found out from my daughter, Melissa, that the sea captain, at the end of his days, just before he got ready to cross over, I guess he got together with his nurse, and the nurse pulled him out to the sea, and they never heard from or seen again. And it's been a legend up that way that the sea captain and the nurse went together when he crossed over, and she pushed him out to sea. And I feel he's a very good spirit that's up there, though. I think he's just watching over everybody, making sure everybody's okay. But it's nice, it's wonderful to know, and to see the spirits come around like that. But but in a good way. That the sea captain's watching over everybody and keeping a close eye, because energies still stay attached to where they, when they were here on the earth plane, when they were alive, their energy still, like, he's still feeling, I'm feeling that he still like to protect the area, and watch over everything, make sure that everything is running smooth. You know what I'm saying, Frank?
He's got good company out there, because there's another spirit out in Quincy Bay here that's been around since the Civil War. Her husband was captured in the Civil War, and he was interned on Spectacle Island, which was used as a Civil War camp for prisoners. They put them on islands so they couldn't escape.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And she was only 17, and her husband was 19. So what she did, she disguised herself as a man. She made her way up to Massachusetts, and she rode out to the island to try and rescue her husband. And when she was coming up ashore, they thought she wouldn't identify herself, and so she was shot.
Oh.
But a spirit is still seen. She's called a Lady in Black.
Oh,
And,
Lady in Black. Oh.
Yeah, and over the years, there's lots of stories you read about her. Lots of fishermen have seen her. The Coast Guard have seen her. She haunts the waters all the time, still looking for her husband. And nobody was ever to find out what eventually happened to her husband.
Oh.
Because, so she's still out there looking. I wonder if she bumps into Captain Hanson Gregory.
I wonder now too that you're thinking maybe they all caught up, because I believe we do catch up with the, like the different.
I'm sure they do it at some stage. They must, because they're both forms of energy. But it's funny, you don't think of these things, do you?
You really don't,
Yeah.
and and you don't think they, where they get attached to their places, they like to stay there. It's not that they're earthbound spirits, but they like being in that area, where they were happiest,
Yeah.
And which is, nice, really, and it's,
I can see Gregory being happy in his circumstances, because he retired a nice little job rowing the people over to the shipyard in Howe's Neck from Germantown. But this, what they call her, the Black Widow, I think she's a tormented soul, because she's never found a husband.
I found peace too.
She's
the
still
peace
looking
with,
for him.
still
She's
looking for
her
him
own
and wondering,
peace.
oh boy,
Yeah.
just to be
Maybe
around.
Gregory can console her, Captain Gregory. Yeah.
Which is really, it's something with the, energies being attached, just like, when we talk about, spirits and different ones that are around. And I know spiritualism, with Queen Victoria. And then what is interesting about that is it started in the United States with the Fox sisters, the Margaret and Catherine Fox.
The Maine people?
Up in Lilydale, New York, actually.
Okay, I
They
knew
were
the
in a
upper
cab.
states.
They were in their house with their mom and
Two young-
dad, the two sisters, and they started hearing noises. They were young at the time, and they were afraid. So the most amazing thing about that was instead of being afraid, they started clapping their hands to communicate with the spirit that was in the energy in the house. So that's how they started communicating, the Fox sisters, Margaret and Catherine, started communicating with the deceased person in the house. Come to find out, they found, I forget his name, but they found the remains in the house of the person that was there.
Now these two sisters had all the faculties, their eyes, their
They
ears.
were all fine, and then that's what started it in the United States.
I wonder how they came to the clapping.
The clapping, just the communication, spirit communication with, you know, the deceased person in the house. And one would be yes, two would be no.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how
sure.
they, instead of being afraid, they were afraid at first. They went to their mom and dads, of course, like any young teenager would
So
do. Or
were they mediums?
they ended up being very famous. They were spiritualists. They were very famous mediums actually that started up in Haitieville, New York. Haitieville, New York. It decided that's what started the modern spiritualism in the
in the U.S.
In the U.S. and then that's when spiritualism began. You know, too. It got big back in the 1800s. That's when that started, and it was interesting to know that because that's how they started. Because you know, when you had mentioned about, you know, do they have all the faculties and everything?
Yeah, I was just thinking of them as being pure mediums, but then they'd be spiritualists, because spiritualists communicate by sound a lot of times, don't they?
Yes, they communicate by sound. Now they have what they call, which I was led to, because at first when all this was going on with me, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing spirits, I'm hearing spirits, and people I knew were getting validation information, figuring, oh, I'm, you know, the only one. I felt like a freak because I wasn't, you know, I went to my dad because I says, you know how you believe in aliens? He said, yeah. I said, well, I'm seeing spirits that don't question anything.
Was it difficult with you? Was your father a man of the church like yourself, or?
It wasn't difficult.
Or you were just afraid, or you didn't understand it?
He understood it because I was very lucky. It was my mother who gave me a hard time for the longest time, but that was how she was brought up, being brought up Irish Catholic. That was her beliefs, but somebody led me to the Spiritualist Church in Quincy, where I learned I wasn't alone, you know, and I could learn to develop the gifts of mediumship. And it's wonderful because the Spiritualist Church in Quincy, located at 40 West Street.
Oh, you're going to be doing attending there?
Yeah, I go there, but it was wonderful when I got led there, because when you're seeing people,
you're mixing with people of your own genre and your own beliefs. Yeah.
And you know,
most minorities kind of feel as though they're not understood until they meet other people in the circumstances and then bond together.
Yeah, you know, and then like to get on with, like, you know, different communications. So if you're seeing, hearing, and feeling, you know, people and say, okay, what's going on with me? Chances are you are gifted with mediumship. You're not alone, which is a nice thing to know, because when you see things or hear the different stories, you know, it's like, okay, now I'm seeing someone that someone else can recognize that has crossed over to the other side. So what's the message? What are they trying to?
What are they trying to say? You're like the vessel, and they give you and
yeah.
you dip. But don't you find like a lot of people have some of this gift, but they just don't recognize it?
They don't recognize.
They
They could be afraid and closed. You know, some people are afraid and they just
don't believe in themselves.
No, it's just their beliefs. You know, it's like, you know, and we all have a free will. You know, and
that's what makes us, the free will.
That is so true, because, you know, we all have our free will to, you know, which is wonderful, you know, to do what we want with our lives, you know, and thank God we're not all the same, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, if you know, there are places you are not alone, which is wonderful to know. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, you know, what am I going to do? Because I had to learn to control what I was seeing, hearing, and feeling. Like, even sometimes now, like when a phone caller, when everything isn't due to the weather, everything's working okay. Like when somebody calls sometimes it might not be for the person calling, but like a friend of theirs.
A friend of theirs.
And that's when we say, okay, now you got to be the medium yourself and go find out the information. For the people, you know.
But we can't control the spirits, can we?
We can. I had to learn.
Can?
Yes. That's why I wear I have a key I have on.
Yeah,
you see me with the key on and off, because when I have the key on, I'm open. This is my signal with the. It's my little signal because Otherwise, you know,
I must borrow that sometime for my mother because I cannot. So, she takes over quite often.
yeah,
Karen.
but that's
My
when you got to
mo-
learn to control. Okay, spirit time and spirit time, but I'm still human,
Uh-huh.
and
How
I
old
got
were
to
you
do
then
human.
when
I
you
got
first
to,
started recognizing this gift?
yeah.
How old were you when you first started recognizing this gift?
I'm
that you
sorry, I
had?
couldn't hear you.
How old were you? Your age? What age were you when you first started recognizing this gift?
I was when I first started recognizing it, I was really little, but I could feel, but I didn't know what
And
was going to feel like I wasn't alone. But then when I had turned 12 years old, I was at my
Wow.
uncle's funeral, not funeral, wake, and all of a sudden he said, I'm fine, I'm not in pain anymore. And my aunts were over crying, and when they were over there crying in the corner, I went over to them and I said, why are you crying? I said, Uncle Dominic in light, he's not crying anymore, he's not in pain.
He's happy.
And they were happy to hear that, and they said, you know, your uncle had a heart attack, a massive heart attack, and that's how he passed away. And like, and so I said, okay. Then of course, being a kid and a teenager, you go on with your life, and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, like later on as I aged, after I gave birth to my daughter Michelle, 6 months later, I started seeing, hearing, and feeling spirits. And I
Do you
said,
think the pregnancy awakened something?
I don't know. It was just something that had happened.
Body change?
The body was changed, and all of a sudden, people I was singing with, they all started getting messages from their loved ones. So it was interesting to see, I'm sitting there, okay, now there's something more seriously wrong with me, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. So I went to if my daddy said, don't question it, whatever, it's a gift that you got. So after that, I said to my dad, I said, okay, and just don't question it. But then somebody led me to the church, the Spiritualist Church in Quincy, where I felt it was wonderful. Because
How old were you then when you found you weren't alone?
When I found I wasn't alone, I had turned let's see, Michelle's 14 now. She's 14 years old, so 14 years ago, I was led to like a year after, so about 13 years of, it's been development, because it takes serious study for at least 6 or 7 years, because people do have questions, and want to know.
It's like everything, but you were saying about people when they die in pain, and the pain goes.
Mm-hmm.
My mother died awful, awful pain. She had cancer, and she'd pain. But soon as she passed over, the pain went, and she's happy in her old self. So I think it's important that people know if you have a loved one and they die in agony and pain, once they cross over, that's gone.
That's gone,
That's-
and also prayers are a wonderful thing, because prayers help them to learn and grow on the other side. So it's wonderful. Like when we pray here, it helps them. It's like sending messages to heaven, or the other side, whatever
You're
you call
speaking
the
with your
afterlife.
mind to them. Yeah.
Oh, it does, and it
Yeah.
helps them to heal. It really does help with the healing process too, as well. And it's like you're sending the music, or like I call it messages. Messages to the other side with the prayers, and you do heal. And like with the energies, like sometimes people say, well, I'm looking for so and so, but the other person's coming through instead.
Yeah.
And sometimes that person might not be ready to come through.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sure. I was saying earlier, I know that there's some of my family I know that will not come through to me, and they're alive now, but I know later on they won't, they don't believe, and I don't think they'll visit me. So I enjoy them as much as I can in this world.
You gotta appreciate everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
Because life is short. You don't know when it's our time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it's our time, you don't know. That's why it's so important to really appreciate your loved ones. Like when I thought, it's so important to, really, especially as like my mom and dad are 83 now. They're going to be 84. So it's like, they get to a certain point in life, you really do appreciate, that little extra, you know, having them around. But it was wonderful, like I said, when all this stuff was going,
So you mean
I could do.
I've got to wait till I get to 80 before people appreciate me?
No, no, people appreciate you.
What a
No, just
I'm
I
going to come back
know.
and
He's
haunt
got a
a
long
few.
way. He's almost there too.
I'm
No.
going to
and
come back and haunt some
And
of
I'm
them.
supposed to wish you a happy birthday
Oh,
from
thank
your
you.
brother that's on the other side. And did you wanted to ask you? Did you lose a younger male? Is there a younger male over in spirit
That's
that
my
died
brother
suddenly
that
and
was
quickly?
young. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Alex, don't now see. This is when we get with the information part of the show. When we got to tell the person, please don't tell me
Do the
anything.
people know the phone's not working because of the weather?
No,
Should we let them know?
the phones aren't working because of the weather tonight. But you know that. So, but that's why we're having this conversation. But there's someone
Yeah.
young that you lost that's over there. I'm getting a young male. It was very sudden, and it was very quick. And he was really young, Frank. He wasn't old at all.
No, if I tell you, you're going to
See,
shout at
and
me, so
I'll
I'm
go
not
with
even going
that
to
with
tell
him,
you.
you know,
I'm not
because
even
I
gonna
know,
tell you.
I know with people at home, it's wonderful, and they get all.
He was young.
They get
He was young.
He was young. Yes, if you understand, no, if you don't, full of life.
More than full of life.
He had a lot
More
of
than-
friends and a lot of very outgoing.
Absolutely, very outgoing and
Da- da-
loved
ba- ba- ba.
sport.
Don't say anything. I'll have to have. Don't tell me anything. Put up on the screen now. See, so that way you won't. He won't tell me anything. Full of life. He's still well missed. Kind of good looking. He said, you know, and he liked his sports too when he was here.
Yeah, he-
Loved
yeah.
sports and athletic. I'm feeling athletic
But he was-
abilities
he
with
was
him.
Extremely outgoing and
Yeah.
had a lot of
See,
friends.
see-
lot of friends.
See, this is you know.
Well, if you
and
talk about loved
a lot
ones,
of
it's
friends,
hard
and
not
just
to
don't
enthuse.
tell me anything.
I know
See,
it's hard not to
And,
enthuse when
you know.
these are my loved ones.
But if you do, and that's what we call feeding the medium information. And I know sometimes, like when you guys call the station at 11, or you know, I appreciate when you guys call you know, with the phone calls. But I know sometimes people get excited and they want to tell me everything. That's why I was, don't tell me anything. And I'm always, don't tell me anything, because that's how I was taught. You
Oh,
know,
that's-
I was taught.
I agree with you, and I know, but it's difficult for me because these, unlike some
He
of the
was
peop-
young. He
and
was
some of
really
the-
young,
And some of
and-
the people that call in, because these are our loved ones.
And
we-
it's not about
we
me, it's
have-
not about
We
you,
have
it's about,
wonderful
you know.
memories of them, and just talking about them, we get excited. And we know we're not supposed to tell you. We're
But
supposed
you
to
can't
sit
help
back.
it sometimes. I
But
know
it's hard.
sometimes
It's-
people
it's-
can't
it's
help
hard,
it,
yeah.
you know. And but the young man is, you know, he's all around you. You know, just to let you know that. And he's with there's another young man that's with them over there too as well. I'm feeling more than one young man that is around, but the other young man is coming through quicker. The one that was very outgoing, and he's outgoing over there, and he's helping other you know, young people over there on the other side as well.
You know what I should imagine he'd be doing now? He'd be training people for St. Patrick's Day. He'd be training them how to drink a good pint of beer. No, he had a lot of friends, as you pointed out, and he had a good sense of humor. You know, like helping people. Whenever my other brother, we discussed
Don't tell me
this
any. Don't
person.
tell me.
Okay.
Don't tell me.
When we
any.
discuss
See
it,
what I mean?
we'd say Peter's most probably still helping people,
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah.
He's still helping people.
He's still helping
And
people, and
we always say
but
maybe he's
he-
helping them how
he-
to drink a pint.
He,
'Cause
he hasn't been over there long. You know, the young man has not been over there long, he's saying, you know.
Which one?
The one that was coming through, the one that was outgoing. Yeah, he just
mhm.
died suddenly within the last year or so, I'm feeling, you know, with him. If that making sense to you, Frank?
Not
within the last
not
year, but
within,
it's-
yeah, a little.
but-
Yeah, it's a little bit more than that.
Okay, but he's been
Little
over,
bit more
yeah.
than that,
Well,
but-
see, time over there, you know, it doesn't, there's no
Mm-hmm.
time frame over there on the other side, which, you know, is, they're constantly learning and growing. But I'm feeling, you know, he's saying that, you know, I'm learning and growing, but I'm helping others, and I'm helping young folks like myself. And that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's him.
Was
That's
something
him.
done in his honor yet? Or something being in, are they doing something like a fundraiser or some kind of a thing in his honor?
No, he just has he had so many friends. He was such a lovable, likable person.
Just
there was
keep that-
nothing was too much for him to do for other people. and help them.
Just to you know, keep that in the back of your mind, because something might come up where we might be doing a fundraiser or something. Somebody's gonna, you know, maybe suggest about doing something in his
There is
honor.
somebody there that's passed over that we're doing a fundraiser for. We do it every year for them, and maybe that's coming in because
okay.
I know. Is it all right if I mention the name of the person you're talking about? One of them, Peter. I know he'd be more than happy. He wish he was here to help with fundraising because he had so many friends.
And he's
Well,
looking.
he could just go and ask his friends to come together, and we've no need to fundraise. They'd give us money.
No.
So maybe that's
Do you have a Francis over there too?
Pardon?
A Francis. Is there a Francis on the other side for you too?
That's what's one of our family's names. Like my name's Frank, but I was christened Francis.
But is there a Francis over there for you?
About 7 or 8 of them.
Okay, for males.
The one I was named for is over there.
No, oh yeah.
The one he was named for.
They're all
is
together.
over
They're all around him tonight. They're all, you know.
But all of us like to be called Frank and not Francis.
Oh, not
Except,
Francis.
No, there was one. That was not my. There was one in the chain.
Don't tell me anything. See,
There was one in the chain.
But there's a taller one. You know, he's like, you know, out of all of them that are over there, and he's saying, you know, I don't about Francis, I'm around you, and he's having a good time over there too as well. Just to let you know that, you know, he's enjoying life, you know.
I'm sure a lot of them are having a good time because they were all very, you know, interested in musical, because there was no televisions and no radios. These people, you know, when I grew up, we had a radio.
But what you don't see, you don't miss.
But
you know, that's how they were brought up in those days. You know,
entertain each other. They'd sing, they'd tell stories. They'd have a, you know, so you know, I can see them having a good time by all getting together. Yeah, they're an outgoing family.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny that we're all around Frank. Tell him we're all just, you know. So I thank them for the names too, because sometimes they're not always good with names with me. So it's like I say, okay, I'm not going to question who you are, but he's saying he was the better looking one out of all of you too. He was the most fun to be around. He's giving himself a lot of credit that way.
Yeah.
That's he's speechless.
No, it's not. Yeah, okay.
Well, that's what he's saying, anyways.
Yeah, I know why he's
me,
saying it, but you're telling me I can't tell you too
no,
much.
and he's also saying he's not sick anymore.
Oh no,
he's not sick.
No, he's well. They're all well, and he's actually back into his physical shape that he was in.
Yeah, see at
wonderful,
home. There he goes
wonderful
again.
physical shape.
He's telling me everything.
No,
and he's, you know.
let me ask you something. Will the rain affect if a spirit's outside? Will the rain affect it?
No.
I know. I
that's
guess
another thing I got to share with everybody at home too.
Okay,
Just
you go
let
first.
Like at first, I'm like, you know, are they watching? They're not around us 24/7. They see our auras, so if we're in the bathroom or doing whatever, you know, we're doing. They just see the energy. They don't see us. They're not around us 24/7. They don't get wet or anything outside. So there's still, you know, the weather doesn't affect them. Just to let you know that. But everybody has their own beliefs too.
Why
you
I
know,
brought that up one time, John, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. I brought it up about the weather, my mother, and I said, "Aren't you getting wet?" And she said, "Silly bugger, we don't get wet with spirits." She called me a silly bugger. Right, you know, right there, spirit. And she said, because I thought, you know, I don't know why, maybe just such lousy weather, and I'm thinking you're getting wet, mother. You know.
That's a good thing, you know.
And she said, "Yeah, sure, yeah, absolutely.
You
You don't have to take your clothes off or dry out." Yeah. But I remember asking her, "Aren't you getting wet?" I used to call her by a name, Emily. So aren't you getting wet, Em? She says, "No, you silly bugger, we don't get wet.
And all your
we don't feel cold.
Yeah, no.
They don't feel pain."
And all your pets are around you, by the way. Your 2 cats are around you.
Well,
then the dog's around you. And there was more than one dog.
There was.
Yeah, you know, you had a couple over there.
Did
you have a German Shepherd, or did someone in your family have a German Shepherd that's over there?
My father bred dogs, and you know, so he most probably had one, a shepherd. But my
Did you have shepherds, yes or no? Did
No,
someone?
I didn't.
No, but there's
My
shepherds
my
over
father
there.
possibly had shepherds because he bred
Okay.
dogs.
Because somebody in one of my crew just mentioned about they could validate the German shepherds, just to let you know that. Thank you. Okay. That's what happens sometimes too. And I know sometimes you hear me say, "Oh, it's for the crew," but sometimes every once in a while, a different person will come down to help out the
we
show.
were just talking about
And they
exactly. We
will-
were talking about spirits that you
Yeah,
can't
and-
say who come or what come. Depends who's at the time, who's visiting, who's strong, and who you're receptive to.
Yeah,
But
and
you're right about the cat, because Minnie, she visited me last
but
night.
you have more than one.
I know, but I had a favourite. And I allowed a favourite.
Okay. Could we go for the full hour show? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, we're just having technical problems with the
We're
weather.
tonight at the
The-
station, so we're just sharing
yeah,
little
the-
tidbits of experiences we've had with the other side.
Yeah, the phones are out, so we just thought we'd sit here and have a little natter, have a little chin wag,
little
as we
chit
call
chat,
it, chin
which is
wag.
nice, you
so can I tell
know.
you about my cat?
Yeah, but see how he goes again, like with the information about telling me all the everything that you're not supposed to do. You know, with when one is given a
But
reading.
you're seeing it and you're knowing it. So in a
And
way,
he's
I'm
very,
just.
he's very intuitive to the spirits too.
Yeah.
Don't let Frank fool you for 1 minute.
Oh no,
though.
I come from a long, long line of Druid family. They were two Celts. When the Nordic people invaded England, my mother's family, they were Druids, and they were taken to the Isle of Man. The Scandinavians, they wanted their faith, Odin, their religion.
And your grandmother, by the way, was gifted.
Oh,
With the, because she's around you now. She's starting to come in through, and she had.
Gifted. My mother read the tea leaves.
Oh, see, here we go. You know,
okay.
I have to have my producer there put the sign up. Don't tell me anything.
Okay.
You know, but your mother was very gifted
Can
herself.
I eat a piece of this candy and then I won't talk?
No, that's not candy. Valentine's is over, but St. Patty's is coming up soon.
I'm looking for.
But,
I spoke to St. Patrick the other day, the
Did you?
old-fashioned way, yeah, on a landline.
Oh, I've never questioned about,
No,
like seeing.
no, that was a joke. I spoke to him
Oh.
on a landline.
Well, your mother's telling you to be quiet right now because she would tell you to be quiet all the
She
time
often-
when you were
yeah.
growing up.
So I
A
can't
little
tell
bit
you
strict,
about-
but you gotta wait.
I
She's
can't
saying,
tell you about my
patience.
cat.
You can tell me about the cat, what your mother has to say.
Okay.
Because your mother's saying she's not in pain anymore, and she feels better. Her bones really hurt her, you know, and she's
Yeah,
saying
she-
she's
she-
moving around a lot better. She used to like to dance when she was younger. Doing the
sing.
Irish jig, is
And
it?
sing.
Somebody with the Irish
no,
connection with
she
you
was-
over there too.
Yeah,
But-
my father, we're all, like we were just today talking, you know,
Oh,
Shauna,
see, don't tell me anything. But your mother's saying I'm not in pain anymore, and she's moving around in her younger
she
girlish
did
body.
she did have some in the bones. She
It was
did.
very painful.
Yeah,
See, don't,
she-
don't, no.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it already, so you
Yeah,
know,
well,
I'm just
no,
telling you.
but still, you see, there he goes, you know.
Okay,
My famous words, don't tell me
I'm
anything.
going to tell you about my cat.
You know, well, we'll get to the kitty in a minute, but I'm just, you know, your mother's saying, I have to say, but she's saying it for me to tell you she's not sad anymore, and she caught up with your dad. She was, you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad about
You
that.
know, they're together over there, and she's with her mom.
Uh-huh.
Just
I'm sure that there's, you know, they seem to be a family. I'm sure they're together wherever they are.
They're
I'm-
looking down on you.
And I'm going to be joining them. I'll
Yeah,
be
when
gonna
your
join
time
them.
is ready,
They're
when
not
your
looking
time-
forward to me joining them. But
When your time is ready.
When the time is ready,
You know, and remember though, you
they'll
take
have
you
the gates closed.
how you are here is how you are over there. So, you know, if you have a weaker energy and you want to get a message through, you might want to pick up your energy a little bit. That's what an English medium told us one time. I love him, and you know, and it's wonderful, you know, to know that because I don't plan on changing when I go over there. How I am here, I'm gonna be over there. You know,
No.
so. And I have you know, one.
Your spirit will have the choice. You feel you'll have the choice. You'll still maintain your free will.
Yeah, your free will, you know, and it's amazing.
That makes sense because you know my brother without trying to mention some of the people that you've mentioned, they're still the same, so they're still exercising their free will over there. Yeah, so that's good. So I'm not too sure I want to be the same when I get over there. I'd like to take a bit of relaxation
I
time.
myself, like I was talking to my mom, I said, are you going to go to all the meetings when you cross over? She goes, no, I got a lot of people I got to visit over there. So, and that's like, it's funny because I was telling one of my friends, because I lost a lot of friends really young. Like one of my girlfriends, she died like when she was 30.
Maybe
So-
that's when this happened. Maybe this is part of why you're a medium today. Your friends wanted to stay in touch with you,
Yeah.
and they came to you, yeah, because...
But I don't plan on getting caught up with my family when I go over there. I want to go see my pals when I go over there
You wanna
first.
see your pals first,
Yeah, I
yeah.
want to see all my friends, I
Yeah.
said, yep, they're going to be there, And I also am a very firm believer also, because a lot of people do ask me this question too. When it is our time to cross over, do we see people that have gone before us? And yes, you most certainly do. Because a long time ago,
At what stage?
when my grandmother was getting ready to cross over, my aunt, who's in light now too, she said, Karen, I just thought it was a dying woman's wish. She started seeing my Uncle Don, my Aunt Tess, and her mom and her dad, and she was, saying that they were there with her, and she was carrying on a conversation with them. And come to find out years later that my grandmother was gifted. So it's inherited. I feel like it's inherited from our family and friends, the gift of mediumship or psychic abilities. But she started saying about all the people that were around her in the bedroom, and now that she knows, I do feel very strong that our families and friends are our angels, are there to help us to cross over, to transition to the next.
That does happen. You see, your friends come back, because my mother told me this. She saw her husband, as you mentioned. She saw her father, her mother. They all helped her with the transition in the last moments of her life. They were there, and I think it was a great comfort to her, and I just hope to God that I'm lucky enough to have some of my family and people around when you cross. I don't want to be alone when I cross over.
No,
This world is fine, and the next world I'm ready, but it's that crossing over, isn't it?
The crossing over part of it,
So I hope I have them there to support. My mother will be
and
there.
your family will,
No question. I know.
Sometimes
yeah.
you can't always be there to
Yeah.
help, but
My mother will be there.
And our deceased loved ones are there. Like even like the spirit children when they cross over. There was an English medium that came over one time, and I went over to him because I kept seeing a little boy pop in and out of the flowers on the piano, and I kept saying, okay, what's your message? And he wasn't saying anything because he's kind of shy and not talking. So after the workshop was over, I went over to John and I said, John, I got a question for you. He said, what? There's a child over there, but he's not saying anything. He said, Karen, ask who the child is with. Make sure he's with the spirit children, that they're with a family that's over there already on the other side with them, to make sure that they're not alone. I asked the spirit children, well, who are you with? So that way I know that they're not alone and they're in the light, which is nice to know. And I was so thankful for that bit of that was the whole workshop for me, learning that one little piece
That
of
was a
information.
step forward. Good.
Because I always consider myself a student, because it's always something new to learn, and
We
constantly.
never stop learning.
We never stop learning. And to get back to when we're getting ready to cross over, yes, it's nice to know that our families are around us. So if anybody at home if somebody is getting ready and they might mention, oh, I see so and so, chances are that they probably are seeing someone that had crossed over, or if they're saying they're feeling someone in the room, chances are that they are
they'll
feeling
be there
presence.
to help them. I can assure people, close ones will be there to help you. They will. That's a nice way. So my kitty. Okay.
Okay, now we'll get on his kitty just for a couple of minutes, not too long.
Okay. Then last night or the night before, I get off to sleep, and I'm feeling the pressure on the bed, and I realize this. It comes to me. What is this pressure? And then I realize it's the cat. It's Minnie, and I put my arm out, I'm actually stroking Minnie, and she is purring, and she is content, and I'm content, and it was really, really a nice little experience. I don't know whether it lasted seconds or a few minutes or whatever it was. It was so pleasant that Minnie came to visit me, and
I believe.
Well, it happened, whether,
Yeah, no,
whether
I
or
believe
not,
that, 'cause that.
it was only a few nights ago. I'm not that
And I'm
senile.
so glad
I'm
he
not
said.
that
I'm so
senile.
glad he said. I'm glad he mentioned that, because that has happened to myself. Times when I'd be sitting down watching a TV show, or I'm in the clairsentience. You feel in the presence of, you loved cat on the other side. You feel in the presence of the cat around you, because you'd be sitting watching TV. And especially, like, I noticed once, not that often, but once in a room of my cats just recently crossed over to the light in October, and actually September, sorry about that. And when a certain time of the day, like, I'd be sitting down watching a TV show, all of a sudden I'd be jump on the bed. And even before she crossed over there, I'd feel like there was an animal, and I figured maybe it was a dog that had crossed over. Beforehand, it would just be jump on the bed.
Jump on your bed.
So that's not just like you're saying, oh my goodness,
Now,
what's
does
going on.
Does the key keep the animals out?
Oh, the key is a wonderful way to ground
Keeps
you.
the animal
It keeps,
spirits
yeah,
out
I
as
just,
well.
because sometimes, you got to do human stuff,
Yeah, it's going to be part of the real world.
You
It's-
really,
yes,
you really
we have
do.
to eat, we have to,
Like I don't wear it when I exercise and stuff like that, but I'll wear it like when I know it. Okay, this is when I'm open. I'm open right now, so if you want to step forward and talk to me, or what a message might be for somebody, that's when, okay, I'm open. Or I'll go like this too, because I don't wear the key 24/7.
Yeah, I've seen your notes, and I know you
Yeah.
I know you're communicating
With-
when you
with
do
them,
that. Because you get the energy, you're changing the energy when you do that.
And everybody has different ways to communicate with, our deceased loved ones, relatives, and friends that are over there. Everybody has their own way of communicating.
Do I get
and
one more
connecting.
question, Karen?
Sure.
I do. Have you ever seen anybody, a famous spirit, or a well-known spirit like Lincoln or Washington or
I haven't.
Attila the Hun or something?
I haven't seen Lincoln or Washington, but yes, I have seen some famous.
I have too.
I don't tell everybody
I don't,
everything
and I'm not.
because
You're right, because I'm not going to reveal mine either.
No.
But I was just wondering, like, because the way earlier you said you feel like sometimes you're on your own with stuff, and then when you meet people of the same, you feel empowered. It's the same way as that I feel now. Like, so I was asking you. I've communicated with a certain person, and I was asking you that, and I'm not going to tell you who it was, but I'm just
just
happy.
like I'm not going to tell him either.
Yeah, you're not going to tell me either.
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
Because I don't tell everybody
no,
some things, because this wasn't always as opened. It's come a long way, like even within the 10 years since I've been learning and growing, and it always wasn't as open. It still was some people, like I said, everybody has a free will.
Well, you only have to go up the road to Salem. When you've been talking like this in Salem 100 years ago, you'd have been dunked in the water.
Yeah,
You would have been around long.
But now it's
I'd have kept
more
quiet
acceptable. But still, some things that I see, I won't always. That's why I write a journal. I have a journal still, and it's nice because I'll write down everything I see. And some of the spirits that I've seen that are known, I have actually had to go see someone about it, and they said no, that you'll see the old from like the 1800s or like the different time frames or somebody known.
Your time is nothing to them, is it?
No.
It's all
Like your
different.
young friend over there, he feel like
time
it's just,
is totally different. Yeah, so I've seen this person. It wasn't Marilyn Monroe. I wish it was. No, I don't. No, I can't. But yeah, I've seen this person 2 or 3 times, and I just wonder what the message is they're trying to give to me, or what they're trying to say to me. And this is somebody before they, I did know them personally when they were alive as well.
Oh, I know.
And I'm just wondering if they're trying. Well, that is, they are trying to. They wouldn't be visiting me if they weren't trying to tell me something.
And that's why, like, I had to learn to trust them. Like people say, well, do you see your family? I don't see my families because it's not about me. You know, like even when we see the ones, you know, like that might be known,
Yeah.
sometimes they might not have them. They just let us know that they're there.
Yeah.
You know, and we're
That's
here. And
interesting because, you know, this person really didn't have parents too close to him. Naturally, he had parents. Naturally, he had parents, but the parents weren't close to him, and he kind of brought himself up and didn't have a lot of love when he was a young person. So maybe, he was troubled in this world. So maybe the spirit is still troubled.
they will tell us, you know, like you know, I was like always told, like in class.
I've never
Ask-
discussed this
ask-
with anybody else
ask-
before, you
no,
know.
you know,
It's kind of personal.
Yeah, did you know?
And, you know, this person was kind of troubled in this world and had troubles right up to the end. And he, you know, it was a violent death. And so, yeah, maybe his spirit is still troubled. And
Sometimes they will need help crossing over. Like, I usually the ones when I get messages they've crossed over to the light, but there are some earthbound spirits. You know, they've had a couple of those too. You know, and then it's like okay, but that's when I say it's not about me. You know,
Well,
it's
you
about
feel these
how.
spirits are coming to you personally, because that's what I feel with this person.
Yeah, they
they're
will.
coming to me. They practically want to shake
'Cause-
me or say, you know, and I can't communicate. I know they're there,
Just
and
know
I
that
feel
they're.
them, but
You know what you could do?
I can't. I don't have a rapport with them yet.
No, and that's
Whether
what,
it will come, I don't know, but I'd like to, because you know I still feel the trouble that the trouble in them.
yeah. Just say some prayers. You know,
Oh.
you know, and prayers, like I said earlier, prayers are wonderful for helping them on the other side. And sometimes, like when I'll ask, well, what are you trying to tell me? You know, and sometimes it's the littlest validation that is the biggest, you know, has the biggest meaning to the person getting a reading. And people have asked me to, like, you see the ones, I never see my family in front. It's not about me. I'm just a person between the veils.
Something small that those people that you'll see will validate whatever, you know. The person that comes to you, you don't have to see the whole family or one of them. It can just be a little small thing, and it makes everything right for them. Maybe that's what this person's trying to give me a little hint of.
That little thing, you know, and it's that little piece of information, and it's their memory. It's their memories. Like sometimes I feel like they're sending me messages from heaven, or like letters from the other side, and that it's just, you know, that's when I say, okay, well, what do you want me to tell? I remembered when I used to do this, and that's what they did with the person, you know. So it's their memories, you know, that they're sharing, and then there's that little piece. That's what I was taught in class. That little piece of information, you know. Ask them what that little.
They know the puzzle, and that's a little piece that could bring all their puzzle together.
Like I had a friend over recently, and I was doing reading, and just going on about the reading, and all of a sudden I said, well, I was asking about, do you have a ring, the ring? The person said yes, that was getting the reading, yes, I have the ring on, but it was that little piece. And that little
that tied everything together for them.
And but that little joy of knowing they're okay.
My mother's speaking to me now. You know, she wants me to tell you something.
What does she want to tell me, Frank?
You know, you're saying prayer is good. You should pray. My mother was always heavy on us trying to pray, and she's telling me to tell you how she learned us to pray. At night, she'd take our shoes and put them underneath the bed. So when we got up in the morning, we had to get on our knees to get the shoes.
Oh, so she was teaching you to pray.
Yeah.
She was a smart woman. She really was.
So she just said, tell Karen that. And she even
Thank
said
you,
your name.
Betsy.
She knows your name. Yeah. I didn't even know she knew your name, but she does. But she said, tell you that story. Yeah. So while we're putting our shoes out, she said, now say a prayer.
Frank, did she lose a baby in a miscarriage too, your mom? If you don't know, could you find out?
No, but it was the you know, it was the person. It's getting a little sensitive, you know. When you're talking about the young person died, that was her son because it was my brother.
Oh.
So that's what you most probably get, and I'm not wholly comfortable because it was hard.
It was
hard. And
it's hard because
it's hard, and you know, some things you never get over.
You go through the grief.
You deal with it.
You go through it.
Go ahead.
You move on, but it's not the same. You go through it, Because I was asking my aunt about that one time. I said, you know, does it get easier? She said, it gets easier. It's not the same, but you go through it. You know, if that's making sense to you, Frank. It's
Yeah,
like you go
yeah.
through
Oh,
it
yeah.
just to, you know.
Some things do get easy, and you know
But you still miss
lose,
them. You still miss them.
you'll lose the anger part of it. Why so young, and why like this, and you know those things. You get over that, but you never get over family. You know, because he was young.
No, you don't.
And as you said to me earlier, he was a lot of fun, and he was a fun person, and he was a friendly person. And you couldn't ask for a better friend or a better brother.
And remember this too, with another thing I was taught.
And he liked cats.
Learn from parents. We miss them more than they miss us. You know, if that's making sense to you.
Sure it
'Cause
does.
we grieve, but we're human. We grieve, and we wouldn't if we didn't have the time to grieve. You know, to feel you got to go through all that. You know, and then you know, like where I lost my sister 9 years ago. It's going to be 10 this year. You know, you still miss them. You still, you know, you wish, gee, I wonder. But I know she's looking down from the other side, you know. And it's just you go through that, the grief, but you get through it. But it's also there's help out there too if you need that, you know, if you need to go see someone, if around free will, of course, again, back to the free will. But it's nice to know. But you get through it. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know,
I know that because now with my mother the relationship is like it was when she was alive. We have that same kind of relationship, but with Peter it's still hard. So there's still that time.
Write a letter. You know, write a letter. You know, sometimes like I tell my kids, you know, when they lost somebody, write a letter.
Yeah.
Write a letter down. Just write down your feelings. And when my sister did pass away, and my daughter didn't go to the services because I wanted her to remember her aunt the way she was, and so I said, write her a letter. I'll write one too. So we got to write down the letters. Or if you lose a young friend, what we do is we release balloons. It's all on what you would like to what you want to do. You know, to help with your grief, but to also help heal, but to let that person.
Well,
you know,
it's letter writing. That's another thing that we most have in common. We used to live in a house, so we always had pets. Now we've moved to a condo that don't allow pets.
Oh.
So here's what I used to do. I used to write letters to the dog and to the cats about Peter and about the family, because, you know, as you say, you can't discuss this with everybody. My wife's a little sensitive about discussing it with her, and if I go in Paddy Buried and I'm having a beer and I bring that stuff up, they've either told me I haven't drank enough or I've drank too much. So I don't bring it up to so I used to write letters to the dogs and read it to them, and the cat would get on my lap when I'd read the letter to the cat, or the dogs would put its head on my knee, and I'd read the letters to the dogs, and I'd say that, you know, that's your Uncle Peter, and I'd talk to so you wrote letters as well.
It's right. That's wonderful because that's one way to
You
help.
did this?
Yeah, and we did this.
And who did you write them to yourself?
Oh, I wrote them to my sister, and we put them. We put them with her. The undertaker put them in with her when she, you know, crossed over. And my daughter was so thrilled. And a while ago, when she lost her friend when she was in high school, and she said, "Mommy, what do I do?" You know, I said, "Get balloons. You know, why don't we get some balloons?" And at graduation, when they were doing that commencement, I just let the balloons go to, like, to send messages to heaven, messages to heaven.
Symbolic is going up to heaven.
Going up to heaven with the person that deceased, where he died really young. Deceased person got to see that from the other side, you know, with the balloons lifting up. It's just those little tidbits you could do to help you with the grief, and, you know, let your loved ones know, you know, that you're still
you
thinking
keep
of them.
leading me on to stories about my life, though, Karen. You do that. Now, my wife's at choir practice tonight. She sings in Our Lady of Good Counsel in the choir. They're beautiful choir. But last night we were sitting there quietly together. I think she was starting to get some of the taxes together, and I was reading a little something, and then we heard this bump, and it was came from the bedroom. Well, we know when you first hear a sound, and it's not a sound that you used to, we weren't sure where it came from, and then we realized, we both said, I think it came from the bedroom, and we're thinking, could this have been a gunshot, or I said, well, it could be one of the spirits. I said, throwing stuff around, because she wants stuff in places.
Oh, they move stuff, and they do.
My wife
they do
wants
move
stuff in
things.
places, and
They
I want
will.
stuff in places, and now we've only got a condo instead of a house. We're limited to space, so she'll move stuff, and I'm telling her it's the spirits throwing your stuff away. And so
Maybe too much clutter.
we march into the bedroom, and what it was a balloon that had burst.
Oh.
We had my 3-year-old grandniece staying with us over the weekend, and she likes to blow balloons. She can't blow them up, but I blow them up. And one was in the bedroom, and it popped. Yeah, and I thought, there's the spirits, thanks goodness.
But does you know too? They will move stuff. If like
Oh,
I've been known
absolutely.
to move one
Absolutely.
thing to one end of the house, and sure enough, and this is when Michelle, hi Michelle, and I'll put it. I think I put it in like the sunroom, and then all of a sudden I go, it's not there. Then sure enough, it moved to another part of the sunroom, and I'll go over to like this old chest that my mother gave me, and then it's over there. I'm like, well, how did it get? So the spirits, they will move things.
They have energy.
They have they have endless energy
That's what it is. The physical form is there, but it's not there. But the energy form, and they can move stuff.
And electricity.
They
Like one of my friend calls, we'll be talking on the phone, and then all of a sudden, the phone hangs up, and they'll call me back and say, "What happened?" I go, "I think the spirits they'll hang up the phone because they play with electricity." And that's another way if you deceased loved ones to learn that they're around is they will play with electricity. Like one of my friends, Sandy, would get talking on the phone, and all of a sudden, the phone would click off. And the phone was fine, the wiring, everything. And 2 minutes, seconds later, she'd call me back. What happened? What happened? Because she's open to this.
Spirit is energy, and electricity is energy.
It's energy, and the phone went on and off.
They're
And
fine.
I go,
They're fine with that.
maybe they were telling us we were talking too much. I don't know. And it was just,
Have they ever messed with your alarm clock?
they've never messed with the alarm clock, but they've messed with the lights a lot, like with the lights blinking on and off. And my husband would go for the light bulb thinking it was burnt out, and it's really not burnt out. So it would go to switch on and off with the light bulb, and all of a sudden it'd go, okay. And I'm like, see, I told you. And it wasn't the light bulb, it wasn't burnt out.
No, we used to have a spirit that used to set our alarm off. Kathy would not accept that it was a spirit that was doing it.
But she has her own free will too, in
She's
her
her own,
beliefs,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
I found out later on it was a friend of mine that wouldn't reveal himself spiritually, but he liked to play jokes and he liked to mess on it with you. And then when I retired, and if the alarm went off, it didn't make any difference. I had nowhere to go. It didn't bother me. And then he came to me and he told it was all these years it had been Albert doing this to me, but he wouldn't tell me it was him. He was just doing it to annoy me.
Oh, that's funny.
And when I retired and it didn't bother me anymore, he lost interest in it. Then he came to
He had
me.
nothing to bother you about now until he finds something else to bother you, you know?
No, don't get him going. Don't get him going. Don't get him. I'm sure he's looking for something else to bother me. But that was funny. Yeah, he do. For all those years, I wasn't sure, but I knew it was somebody because they were letting me kind of know that they were messing with me.
Oh, they're
and
funny.
I didn't know whether they were messing with me for dislike, or just being funny, and that's what it was. And then when I
It's a riot because one Christmas, I can remember when I lived in my other house on Palmer Street, and we were sitting down at the table, and it was a little stormy, but it wasn't anything big, you know, like the last blizzard we had or anything like that. All of a sudden, the whole house, the lights, the TV set, everything went, and everybody else's, I looked next to our neighbors, and their lights were still on. And I'm like looking, going, okay, theirs are on, ours are off. I said, oh no. I looked up, I wished them all a happy Christmas, a happy New Year, because it was Christmas Day or something when it happened, and boom, you'd check, and everybody looked.
Could have been that sea captain from that cemetery down there, you know.
Mm,
Yeah, he could have been, yeah.
maybe, I don't know, but once I wished them a
I-
happy holidays, now I wish them a happy holidays, and, you know, all that, and when I said happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, sure enough, all the lights
All the
and
lights came on,
but
yeah.
everybody experienced it at home, which was wonderful. And I'm like, welcome to my world.
Welcome to
you know, with everybody.
I must take you down and show you the grave marking for the sea captain down in Germantown, who is buried. That is a mark.
That would be interesting to see, because, you know, someone said, Karen, you don't always have to go looking for the validation. I don't go looking, but it's wonderful when things do get the validation.
You know, you get out, you're getting there, and it's part of it. And it's, you know, you're always going to find spirits in cemeteries.
Oh, I know that.
You know that as well as you know that as well as I do.
I know
as
that.
As well as I do.
It was funny when we were looking for the new house. I said to my husband, one thing I always said, I would never move near a cemetery. You know, our remains are there. No, but our energy and our spirit and all that go cross over.
You're too sensitive to be close to it.
Yeah, and but sure enough, when we bought the new house and I'm going down the street, I said, Chuck, what's that next to near the house? Oh, it's a cemetery. My son is funny though. My son.
St. Mary's, is it?
Yeah.
No, no, St.
And my son goes, Mommy, but all your friends are over there. You know, the one who's not open. But that's okay, because that's his choice, you know, and everything. But it was just the way he came out with it. And of course, I started laughing. I'm like, oh boy.
That's cute,
And
yeah.
sure enough, you know.
I'm glad he's dealing with it, you know, in a funny way. That's a good way to deal with things, isn't it? Joking.
Yeah, joking.
Yeah.
Laughter is a very good thing. And when the funny ones come in, you know, I love when they all come in and, you know, to get the message across of what they, you know, they want the loved one here to know, you know. But when the funny ones come in, you know, they can be so. Sometimes I try to close down the best I can when I leave the station or when I'm doing the platform or, you know, whatever I'm doing. Is, you know, they'll follow me. And that's when go back to the key. You know, but sometimes I'll get a really funny one that's really sense of humor, and you know,
like your son with that one. That's where
like,
all,
you know,
yeah, that's where all your friends are.
Your friends
in
are
good
over
company.
there, you know. And I tell you, they would come to the house, but when the funny ones come in, they just, you know, they are funny. And I said, okay, the show is over or whatever, like fundraiser I'm doing or something. Okay, now that that's over, can you go be with your family now? You know,
Leave me alone. Let me be with mine. So your daughter's fine with understanding, you know, your gift.
Yeah, she's fine with the gift, you know, and my husband gets like, but you know, he's skeptic, but that's okay, because
Yeah,
you know, it's good. I love skeptics, you know.
My wife is the same way.
You know,
my
and
wife is just the same way.
And he doesn't talk about his thing. I don't talk about, you know, this, but once in a while, I'll let you a really quick story. When I was saying about this, making with the spirits, and one time I was saying about my mother-in-law I never got to know in spirit. I said, oh, don't talk about my mother. And sure enough, she stubbed his toe. I said, see, Rose wants me to talk about it. And the other night, I said something about Rose, and every time he stubs his toe. And I said, thank you, Rose. I'll go through. And I want to let you know.
It's a nice name, Rose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Roses are nice, but I do like that. My mother-in-law's name was Rose.
I got to start wrapping it up.
Pardon?
We got to get ready to wrap up.
Okay.
I want to thank you all for tuning in. And our next live show will be 3/13. And hopefully the weather will be a lot better by then, you know, and everybody stay warm.
And the phones will be working,
And
we
the
hope.
phones will be working and back to normal. And our loved ones are gone but not forgotten. And just a thought away. And just to remember to appreciate each other a little bit more on the earth plane.
Do that because we're not here forever.
No, we are not. And I want to say hi to Michelle. And Frank was here tonight. And she said,
I'm here compliment to the weather turning the phones off.
Phones off, but you know, that's okay. You know, things happen.
It's nice
Everything
just
happens.
to sit down and get a
And have
little
a
bit
talk,
of each other.
And a little bit of bits and pieces of
we got a
different
bit
information.
edgy on some things that we feel we want to keep private, but
Yep.
we kept it.
And our loved ones are gone but not forgotten, and just a thought away. And remember to, you know, with the upcoming election at the Vatican, to keep everything, remember prayers, to say prayers.
Keep within the sense of reality
Yeah,
and realism, yeah. Mhm.
To pray that it's a nice.
I do, I like that name, Rose.
Rose.